I've been dragging my feet on recording this episode. I think it's been about a month or so, with some other episodes that have been put on the back burner as well. But I woke up this morning feeling very invigorated and excited to record my relationship around money and how for many of us, it's been staying at that status of it's complicated. And money is something that is so pervasive in our everyday lives. And partly that's because, not partly, but a big part of it is because it's how society has shaped our relationship with money, how it's very important, how it can be a measure of success, how we should really view money, and also the stereotypes we have around money and wealth. And it makes it very complicated to view money in a very positive way. I know that I grew up with money as something that is scarce. So I grew up in a scarcity mindset, and I think that this is something that many children of immigrants share. And I never really understood that I could reshape the thoughts I have and the beliefs I have around money until very recently, like the last few years, but specifically the last, I think year and a half, 2 years, well into starting this business. And before that, I was really just operating on autopilot. And even when I had like a 9 to 5 job that in hindsight was paying very well, in addition to giving me really great opportunities, I never felt that it was enough. I always wanted more. I felt like, I wanted to spend more. I wanted to do other things. I also felt like I wasn't saving enough. Literally was saving half my paycheck at that time. And so really it allowed me to understand as I started this business and I really dived deep into like my subconscious, my belief systems, how I operate, and how I wanted to reshape how I operate in the world and how my mind works. I realized that how abundant you feel is really just mindset. It doesn't matter how much money is in your bank account. It doesn't matter how many, material possessions, other resources that you may have. It really, really is about your mindset. And when I realized that, and I've actually put into practice into my business every single day, every single month this year, it's really funny because once I've hit like a financial goal, I'm like, oh, I guess I don't really feel like that different. And my life hasn't really changed that much. I think that sometimes we view as money as something that will just solve our problems. But in fact, it's only our mindset and the mindset work that will help us reshape how we view our problems, how we approach them, and what we think are problems, right? And so I began to realize this year, I'm like, it's got nothing to do with how much money is in the bank. At times when I've had more money, I felt very stressed, just as stressed when I haven't had as much reflected in my bank account. And going through these exercises this year and kind of also reflecting on years past, I'm like, looks like there still needs to be some work done around my relationship with money. And I think one of the reasons why I felt reluctant to record this episode is because I haven't gotten to that place where I can feel 110, whatever, like overly confident and assured about how I've reshaped my money mindset and how I can like really replicate that for others. But then I realized the beauty in sharing the process and the imperfection, and that I don't think that this is ever going to be something that I stop working on. And so I can't just be waiting for when this happens or when I feel this way. It's also equally important to share how you feel in this moment in time and what's worked and what hasn't worked. And so this is a real look at how I've been trying to shift my relationship with money from it's complicated to it's good. Not great, but it's good, trending to great. And this is something that I've taught in a couple workshops. Yes, I've led a couple workshops on money mindset for coaches and consultants, as well as just in general. I haven't really offered this as, a general workshop that you can like attend. I talk about this with clients, obviously, but it's not something that I've like been feeling like I'm ready to share with like the general audience, if you will. But you get a sneak peek on this podcast. If you haven't started the work around your money mindset, or you're working towards redefining how money plays a role in your life, one of the first things I did 3 years ago was to really think about my earliest memories around money. And this had come through a workshop that I did with Sandy. It was one of the first few workshops that I had like hosted. I think she had come in the fall of 2019 to Washington, D.C., where I'd started Woo Woo Company in this business and this journey. And these are things that I knew already, but I hadn't had the opportunity for someone to lead me through these workshops. And since then, I've done a lot of work around money, asking myself questions very consistently around, how I generate money, how I view money as a tool, my relationship, where my values and my belief systems around money and abundance and wealth come from, et cetera, et cetera. But it really just started from that first question of, where did my beliefs come from? And so I really began to examine, like growing up, how I was taught how money should play a role in my life and how I felt about money. And this is an exercise you can do with yourself through journaling, through just closing your eyes and just kind of bringing yourself back to your childhood. And the second question I asked myself was, how do I feel about money? You can doesn't matter which one goes first. It's like, what word comes to mind? And for myself, freedom is a big word, but also there is a feeling of like stickiness, of kind of like me chasing it. Kind of almost like it's a bit of a toxic relationship of like unrequited love, or me feeling like I have to do so much more to get money's love and attention. And I think when you realize this dynamic, you're able to bring that awareness to the next level of changing how that dynamic works. You first have to be aware. So those are some of the first two questions that I would like ask yourself when it comes to reshaping your money mindset. And then the work begins in you redefining how you want money to be in your life. What role do you want it to have? And that comes from journaling and reimagining, like, hey, I want money to support me. I want to feel abundant. I want to feel like anytime that I need money, I'm able to call it in. I want to understand what it means to be limitless in my ability to create money, generate money. I want it to feel easy. I want it to feel fun, and kind of live through these values, these new beliefs that you want every single day by kind of reviewing it at the start of your day, or kind of coming back to it throughout the day, so that you just have that awareness of every time that you are encountering something that involves like money, that you're able to kind of shift that old thinking pattern into something new. And I realized a couple years ago that I was someone that like always shopped for things on sale. Very rarely bought something that was full price. And that was something that I didn't like as much, and I knew that I wanted to shift in order to change my relationship with money. And so I thought to myself, like, what would my life look like if I bought the things that I really wanted and within reason? And I started with an area of my life that I don't really limit, which is around like food and health and well-being. Well, within reason. And so I asked myself, what would it feel like if I just went into a grocery store and just bought whatever I wanted, whether it's a Trader Joe's, a Whole Foods, or something else? And I realized, I was like, you know what? Organic food is really important to me. Like, I want to buy organic. And sometimes I want to go into Whole Foods and I just really want to buy what I want to buy. And so I've done that exercise many times. And now it's kind of like default. I just go in and I buy what I want. And it was very liberating as I walked through. I remember like the first few times of Whole Foods, and I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to get what I like really, really want. Things that I may not be able to get from other places. And then realizing that, yeah, the bill was a lot higher than I thought it would be, but really feel a lot of gratitude that I'm able to buy myself nourishing food. And honestly, it hasn't caused me to go wildly out of my budget. It's something that brings me a lot of joy that is important to me. And I've realized there are certain things that I want to buy at Whole Foods and certain things that I don't. And I used to be the type of person like, okay, I'm going to buy this at this place, that at that place. But then realizing that sometimes it's more important to save on time instead of saving on money, because sometimes money is the cheapest option. I'm like butchering that quote, but it really just goes to the core of like, sometimes the easiest way to find a solution, the easiest way to get what you want is to spend the money. And this is something that I've also realized as I spent money on my growth, my personal development, growing my business in terms of like coaching and courses. Like, this is something that I offer, and this is something that I receive as well from others. And I'm able to really just understand, what does it mean to make an investment in myself? And through food, through buying clothes that really light me up, that are less practical and more coming from a place of desire and joy, really starts to shift everything in my life, that I start living more in alignment. And that's been a really beautiful thing to witness and explore. As I realize, I'm like, oh, like I've been really, really practical in every area of my life, and especially around money. And what does it mean if I start to expand and create more spaciousness, like in my relationship with money? So this is just a helpful example, and you'll have other examples in your life. Maybe it's really splurging on a vacation. Maybe it's decorating your home. Maybe it's buying like really nice, like clothes for yourself that you can wear for like many years. You really have to understand like where it fits in your life and how it will resonate with you best. And we have to do different things to really start reshaping our beliefs around money. It's kind of like a chicken and egg. You're like, oh, I should really rethink my belief system, but also you need the actions to reinforce it. And so this is what I've been doing every single day, as I really view as when I spend money, that it's an investment, and I'm happy to spend money. Like, how many of us are like, oh, every time I pay for something, whether it's drinks, groceries, clothing, buying a gift for myself or for others, that I just feel like anxious, like, oh, like spending money. But instead, like every time you spend money, like be intentional about it. Like when you put your credit card into the machine, whether it's like sending a Venmo or like paying in cash, being like, I'm really happy to be able to support a small business, or I'm really happy that I'm able to give myself nourishing food, or I'm able to help myself feel a different way because I'm buying a new pair of shoes that, normally isn't my style, or I'm buying a dress that really makes me feel sexy, or an outfit that makes me feel confident, whatever it may be. But it's something that you can't be afraid of exploring, and it's something that needs to be worked on every single day. Now, this is the key to mindset work. Sometimes we don't see the results as quickly as we want, but just know that your efforts are really building on each other and that none of your efforts are going to waste. And eventually one day, it'll just be a different reality for yourself. One day, you're just going to be able to really reap what you sow, but don't be discouraged if you don't see results immediately. We live in a society and environment that causes us to want things immediately. But this type of stuff you have to work on day in and day out. These are the mental gains that you want, but that requires you to put in the work every single day, just like going to the gym, just like eating healthy, and anything else that you kind of want to see grow in your life, like a hobby, a skill. Like, you have to put in the hours. And but growing up, and I don't think still through like the traditional framework of like school and like the workforce, is really teaching how important mindset is. I think it's kind of going through the guise of like mental health and how you need to go to like therapy because that works on your mindset to a certain extent. But that's not every single day. You don't see a therapist or a psychologist every single day. And ultimately, these changes have to come from within. You really need to want these changes to happen. And yes, someone can guide you, but you need to make the changes yourself through like different actions, different intentions you set, and reshaping your thoughts and belief process, like in the process. And so this starts every single day of like, hey, a thought came up in my head. Do I like it? Do I not like it? How do I want to shift it? If I'm feeling anxious, how do I get myself out of this anxiety after I really feel into it and be curious about how it can be a tool to help me better understand myself and my needs? So really, this is going to take a lifetime, and it's not to discourage you. It's to improve your relationship, that this is something that is long lasting and something to be worked on every single day. And if you don't work on it every single day, sometimes a couple weeks, months, even years that go by, it's okay. You can always come back to it. You're never too late to shift your mindset, to change the way you view your world and all the different parts of it.